Welcome to the Solemn Vanguard channel. Today I'm giving you my first impressions of Vanguard Zero, the mobile game. As I said, it is first impressions, it is not a full review because I just played the demo in BCS France. So I played around with the demo, that is what I'm building these impressions on, but it's not necessarily a full review of the full game since no one has access to that yet. So once we do have access, I will be giving you just the full splash. I'm just gonna tell you the things I liked right now, the things I don't like, some things that could maybe be improved upon, and so forth. I realize I have been quite harsh on this game in the past. I think the community has been quite divided on the game as well. I understand why, but so I'll try to be as fair and constructive as possible because I would have to say there are definitely two sides to this whole thing. So when you first load up the demo, if you haven't been to a BCS yet, you get the intro from the anime that we have right now where Aichi loses his blaster blade, all that good stuff. However, if you've already seen the anime, you can skip this intro, and it is very handy because if you're completely new to Vanguard, you get to enjoy the whole thing and learn a little bit about the lore. But if you've already seen it, probably in two different versions of the anime, you can skip it. So I did skip it, I'm so sorry. And then you get into a card fight with Kai. So you're playing as Aichi at that point. I don't know if that's the case for the full game, but at that point in the intro, you are playing as Aichi, and then your opponent is Kai. At that point, the rules are explained briefly, but there is one catch. You can choose between two different variants. If you already know Vanguard, you can skip the actual introduction of how Vanguard works, and they just get you up to speed with what's different in Vanguard Zero. And if you're just completely new to Vanguard altogether, you get the full rule set, both the regular Vanguard part and the Vanguard Zero part. Just like in Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Links, let's say, there's just a few different rulings because playing actual Vanguard on mobile sounds like hell to me. I realize many people were hoping for that experience. I get why. I kinda would like to have a really solid Vanguard simulator on something like desktop where you actually have room, but on mobile it's super hard to do. Even here, where it is a toned down version, there's still some issues with controls, but I'll get into that later. So as far as mobile games goes, these watered down rules are probably important for the viability of the game. So then you start playing the game, you have your Alfred, you have your Dragonic Overlord, you have all that stuff, but of course their skills are different because the rule set of Vanguard Zero is different. It's really not something like standard, it's not like premium, it is a very, very small toned down version of it, and so the skills really had to be different to fit that whole mechanic. Now this is where it got a little tricky because at the tournament floor, the phone screen was actually quite small. Well, small to me because I'm used to a big screen phone, but that brought some issues. Because the cards are quite small, you play it vertically, in portrait mode let's say, you don't have a lot of room for your finger to swipe the card, and so sometimes the controls would like miss or it would be quite finicky and just weird. So as of now it works really well on something like an iPad or a bigger phone like the iPhone 8 Plus or a Samsung Galaxy Note 9. I'm not really good at Samsung. So there it works flawlessly, but on smaller screens it's a bit harder. Now as you are playing the game, you also have these special effects like in the anime. So like when you ride Alfred early, I think it was, you then get this special whoosh and effect and a little video of Alfred being rode. I think Aichi also comes in a few times, stuff like that. Also when Dragonic Overlord is rode up on the Vanguard, you also have this special thing. And now I understand why this is cool. Definitely the first time you're like, whoa, I did something and something is happening, really cool. But if you keep playing that game, I think seeing that same sequence over and over again could get quite annoying. You're like, right, oh no, now I have to sit through like 5 or 10 seconds of this thing. So I'm assuming you can turn this off in settings because the first time, as I said, cool, something happens, but then like once you start playing the game a lot, maybe you don't want to see the same sequence all the time. So I hope you can turn it off in settings. I assume you can, it's something pretty basic, but that's just one of the first things I thought of. So overall, what is my conclusion? Essentially, we should absolutely not be looking at it like your typical Vanguard game, whether it's standard or premium. It is not like that. It is literally a mobile version of it, and so it is watered down. Right now in its state, it doesn't feel like something that's going to be super strategical or super competitive or anything like that. But instead, it really feels like the kind of game you'll boot up when you're sitting on the train and you're like, oh, I like Vanguard, I want to play some Vanguard, but obviously you can't do that on a train. That's when you take your phone and you start playing Vanguard Zero. It really feels like that kind of game, And I think as long as you're going into the game with that expectation instead of full Vanguard, you should find it enjoyable. With that being said, I myself am quite more interested in more complex stuff and more competitive gameplay. So in general, if I'm sitting at a table in front of someone and I can choose to play Vanguard with the cards instead of the mobile, I will probably choose that, but I think many people think that way. And I don't think the Vanguard mobile game should ever be a replacement for the real game. That is basically all I wanted to cover. Hope you found this interesting. But more importantly, I'm not going to ask you to like the video or anything like that. What's really interesting to me is how people are perceiving the game. So tell me in the comments down below, has your opinion changed over time from when it was first announced? Are you happy that it's a more mobile streamlined version? Were you hoping it was a full game? Do you think that would work on mobile? Just let me know your thoughts, as nuanced as possible with solid arguments. I'm sure this can be a really interesting discussion. I will see you soon. Ciao.